Thank you very much for being here today. As we mentioned before, all of us are work within our Student Services Department. And so this is part of a fall welcoming to introduce many of the programs that are available for you all as a district, student services. Today, the agenda, what it's going to look like is we're going to be providing our welcome introductions. We're going to then go into updates and resources that are going on within the district. Then we'll be providing information from the department and many of the programs that are being offered here today. And also then we'll have the opportunity to go into our Q&A or questions you might have. And then we'll go into final contacts and information. As a reminder, just to let you know, the way that you are able to ask your questions, you can send them with those questions via the Q&A tool for our panelists and moderators. Those questions can also be asked within the chat. This webinar is being recorded, so eventually we'll send this as a video for you all to look and view. Just to also let you know, Spanish interpretation is also provided within the interpretation channel for those families that need assistance when it comes to speaking Spanish. My name is Heriberto Soto. I work as the coordinator for family community engagement. When you click on that QR code with your phone, you're able to access many of the resources, workshops, resources that's created by family community engagement. We also have two folks that are working from the English Learner Services Department, with Paul Barajas as our Spanish interpreter, and Mr. Thor with helping me with sending messages and answering some of the questions via chat. Three important helplines to let you know about to support many of our families when it comes to questions about distance learning. We have our English Learner Services Department. In case you need to contact them about information regarding supporting your English learner about the LPAC assessment. If you call that number right there, they'll be able to follow up with you. Just please leave a voice message. As you know, many of our district and school staff are working remotely from home. And so if you leave a voice message, they'll be notified that somebody had left a message and we'll follow up with you. Our special education department has created two message lines. One is in case you have any questions, you can call and they'll call you back within the normal business hours. And then we also have a support line. In case families need any type of support during a specific time, staff will be there to answer those questions that you might have. And hopefully, as you already know, we have our tech support line. If any families need help with any questions when it comes to Chromebook issues with the broken, Chromebook in itself, logging in, emailing them or contacting them will help you as far as supporting with some of the issues when it comes to tech support. Really quickly, just to let you know, Rivers has created a new program in partnership with Comcast. As you can see there, some of you have heard that Internet Essentials is a program that is a low-cost internet service program. Typically, it will cost about $10 a month. In this case, the district will help you in paying for those services. So, for example, the best way to find out whether or not you qualify is you would go onto this link right here. You will click on it, and it will pop up. You will click the apply button, and it will ask you whether or not you qualify. And the best way to find out is you would click here. You put in your address, and it'll provide you with a message saying that a message is already provided within your area or it's available. If you qualify, then you will contact our tech support line at this number or by email, and they'll be providing you with a code. With that code, you'll be able to then sign up for free and complete that whole application afterwards. And then for more information like this, we, in this case, as Twin Rivers or FACE, have created this Bitly account where you can find information about internet access, about the apps portal, as far as any other information that we have as well. One of the other things that I've, an update from Nutrition Services is that now they have expanded their services to include what is called the School's Meal to Go. In this case, we have our supper and weekend meals program where now the Nutrition Services are providing meals for families for even the weekend for their students. So for example, as you see right here, you have breakfast, lunch, and supper that are 2 meal points, either 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. or 11:30 to 12:30. And then there's also a new program that goes into as far as delivering meals along bus routes around Greenland and North Highlands area for those families that have needed more information about that. Visiting some of these links, we'll be able to access that information. The bit.ly that you see right there, what it is like a shortened URL that are able to then share that information with you all to make it easier for you to click on. In this case, Mr. Thor is sending those links as well via the chat channel as well. Really, just to let you know, as an example, we are able to hopefully stay connected as far as many of the things that are happening around distance learning. We have our social media accounts. We have many information there to provide with you, as you can see right there with those links. And in this case, you'll be able to find out information about nutrition services or about tech support or any other information to stay connected as well. Within that, what I'll do, I'm going to stop here and I'm going to let Mr. Puente introduce himself and also speak about the programs that are offered when it comes to student services and what that entails. With that, I'll let Mr. Puente introduce himself and we'll continue on.
Good evening, everybody. First thing is, I really want to thank Roberto for really helping to coordinate tonight's meeting. I know that he's put in a lot of work to really help support getting information from the district out to the community. And to be able to have the student services group come out tonight, to be able to present the variety of services that we have to offer is a really great resource and a way for us to connect. And so thank you, Roberto, for that. My name is Rudy Puente. I'm Director of Student Services for Twin Rivers Unified School District. I've been working in the North Area program since October of 2005. And it's been a great place to serve. And we have a great number of different types of resources that we're going to provide you tonight with regards to how you can access them and the ways in which we're serving our community. And again, it's everything from our child welfare attendant staff to our foster youth, all the way down to folks who I think are going to speak to some of our tobacco use prevention education. But one of the really great things that we're doing this year is called our Care Solace program. The Care Solace program, we've trained a large number of our staff to help connect families to counseling resources. And we want to make sure that all of our families know tonight that this is a concierge type application that our staff has been trained on, not just here centrally at the district office, but at our school sites. And it's a great way for families to connect with counselors. You can use for low fee sliding scale. You don't need insurance in order to access a counselor. If you happen to have insurance, we also have a system within the Care Solace that will help you connect to those providers. Again, with that said, I want to hand it over to our staff members within Student Services. And again, thanks, Roberto, for the time tonight. And I believe we're going into child welfare and attendance with Darren and Kendra, correct?
That is correct, sir. Ms. White, go ahead. You could introduce yourself.
Good to go.
We'll start from here. Yes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kendra White. I am one of the child welfare and attendance coordinators for Twin Rivers.
And my name is Darren Greer. I'm the second child welfare coordinator.
Awesome. So just a little bit of information about our department within Twin Rivers. Our goal is really, our mission is to promote positive and engaging school climates while at the same time increasing attendance by trying to remove educational barriers and connecting our families and students to resources that may help support homelessness and also attendance concerns. So Darren and I are coordinators, but we also have 4 other very special people that work really well with us, and they are our student engagement specialists. So we have Becky Campora, Sherry Canfield, Jackie Cunningham, and also Carol Seward. So a little bit about child welfare and attendance and some of the work we do around. We work well with homeless youth. So speaking in regards to homeless youth, the McKinney-Vento Act really supports our work. And so this is homeless assistance. It's an act that requires children and youth in homeless situations to be identified and also receive appropriate services. Homeless children or youth are students who are identified as lacking a fixed, regular, and also adequate nighttime residence. And these students also include children who are considered unaccompanied youth and who are either sharing housing of other people, so they're currently doubled up living within multiple families in one home. And also they may be students living in motels, shelters, campsites, and also transitional housing. And so in addition to the homeless education work that we do and the support that we provide to our students, another big piece of our work is working on improving attendance and also reducing chronic absenteeism. So there are 2 educational code laws that I did put up here. The first one just talks a little bit about what is chronic absentee, and that's a student who is missing 10% or more of the school days within a school year. So we want to basically make sure that this number is low. We want our students to be attending daily so that they can maximize their learning. And then the second code is 48200, and this basically states that students between the ages of 6 and 18, they are mandatory required to attend school. So parents do have a legal responsibility to make sure that their child is attending, even through the COVID distance learning and the pandemic that we're experiencing. Darren, would you like to speak about some of the other services that we offer?
Sure, I can speak to those. Besides the McKinney-Vento Act, we also support those families by making sure that they have access to education by being immediately enrolled in their schools, no matter where they are currently residing. A lot of times those students will come across barriers because they don't have proper documents or they don't have a proper immunization record. We can help those families get their students into school as quickly as possible if we are made aware of their situation. We also offer referral services, so students needing any sort of referrals to any other agency that might be outside of Twin Rivers, you can come to us and we can provide you with that service as well. We support all of our schools by providing bully prevention curriculum for the schools. This is something that whatever school your child attends, you should be able to take advantage of the opportunity to have someone to help you if you ever experience bullying in your school. A part of the McKinney-Vento Act and other services we offer is in conjunction with the county. The county offers support so we can provide families with different supplies. Sometimes we can provide financial support. And we also provide a family resource guide that can help those families find whatever their needs might be regarding their situation in their families. There's other things that we do. Obviously, as Takendra mentioned, it is a legal responsibility for a parent to make sure that their child is going to school, and that would sometimes lead us to have committee meetings that will help to have different agencies get together to talk to families and help plan and come up with ways to mitigate any sort of problem the family might be having in getting their child to school. We also do home visits. Sometimes it may help if the family is having trouble connecting with the school. We will not only help you at the school, we will come to you. And even in this time of pandemic, we won't be coming indoors, but we will be able to come anywhere you may be residing and try to get the services to you. So all we need is for those families to make sure that they connect with their school, turn in a form, and then we will contact you to see if there's any support that we can provide.
With that, we'll let, in this case, our folks from Foster Youth introduce themselves and speak about their programs as well.
Thanks, Alberto. Good evening, everyone. My name is Tiffany Hunt, and I am one of the foster youth liaisons servicing the Foothill and Highlands area.
And my name is Anna Broadbent. Hello, everyone. And I service the Rio Linda and Grant area.
So we wanted to share with you tonight that our children in foster care are often displaced from their family and their friends. And we really want our students to feel safe, connected, and welcomed in all of their school communities. So the purpose of our department is to provide advocacy and direct services for students living in foster care, designed to increase academic engagement and achievement. Oh, thanks. So we wanted to talk a little bit about some of the definitions surrounding foster youth. There are various scenarios in which children live out of home or away from their folks. So the legislative definitions, or the LCFF definition of foster youth, is, the first one is a child or youth who is living at home while a dependent of the court, as well as children who have been placed into protective custody. So what this means is that if a child was removed from the home through child welfare or CPS and made a ward, you might have heard a ward of the court, that is a term often used. So the child has to have an open dependency case with the child welfare court.
Another definition is a child or youth who is declared ward of the court, so similar to what Tiffany was just speaking about, but this is due to a violation of certain criminal laws, and the court has ordered that that youth or that child be removed from the home. So sometimes there is some confusion about whether or not they qualify as a foster youth if there have been some criminal probation involved or not, and that's not always the case. So that's part of why we're here, to kind of help clarify that if you have any questions regarding that.
And then the third legislative definition in regards to our services is a youth between, or a student between the ages of 18 and 21 who is enrolled in high school, is a non-minor dependent under the placement responsibility of child welfare, probation, or a tribal organization. So in 2012, there was legislation passed called AB 12, which is extended foster care. So prior to 2012, children that turned 18 were essentially emancipated and kind of left to their own means and devices. There was legislation that extended children's ability to get services and support up until the age of 21. So this really pertains to a lot of our seniors that are still in foster care, and even our students that are in adult education. So 18 to 21, and they have elected to go into what is known as extended foster care, AB 12. And then it wasn't on the slide, but I also wanted to add that there's a lot of situations in which folks think that a child is foster because they're living with an auntie or an uncle or a grandparent. So the distinguishing factor is that they were made a dependent by the court. So if you just would like a relative to care for your child, even though they're not with their parents, that's not considered foster youth under our parameters. I just wanted to make that designation.
So we offer a variety of services very similar to what our CWA department does, specifically for our foster youth. So we do provide school site support for all grades, pre-K all the way through our adult ed, because of our youth who are in extended foster care. Part of what we do is because a lot of our foster children are moved very quickly, we do assist with expediting enrollment, even though they might be coming with no paperwork or no documentation. And we do keep close contact with the courts and CPS and other advocates to ensure that everyone is working together to continue supporting this child and the family. One of the other programs that we participate with is the Independent Living Program through Sac County CPS, and this is specifically for our youth 15 and a half to 18 or 21, depending the program choice, where we provide life skills classes to help them. So that would, so we can engage more of our students and prepare them as they are ready to exit foster care.
And just to kind of add to what Anna just said about our life skills classes, for that, given the circumstances of distance learning, we do that via Google Classroom and via Zoom. We engage our kiddos that way, our students. So Anna and I also, what we do is, she mentioned case management, and what that looks like is participating in case conferences at school, whether it be an SST meeting, an IEP meeting, and then on the flip side, we attend meetings through child welfare. So we attend some of the family team meetings on that side. We do a lot of engagement opportunities, especially with the Independent Living Program or the ILP grant. There's a lot of inter-district collaboration. And so we try to do 3 to 4 main events each year with the neighboring districts to get all of our kids together. Anna and I put on a back to school backpack giveaway, a supply giveaway. We take our students on college tours, and in those countywide events. Anna and I also will conduct home visits. And we mentioned we give away school supplies and backpacks. And then a large part of our role is to bridge the communication gap between child welfare and the educational system. And so we are in constant contact with county social workers, or each foster youth has their own attorney. So we are in communication with folks on the child welfare side. And I think that is it for foster youth services. I think TUPE is up.
Hello everyone, my name is Jeremy Combs. I am a program development specialist for student services, and I support the TUPE program.
And my name is Scott Kaiser, and I am also a program specialist with student services overseeing the Tobacco Use Prevention Education Grant.
So TUPE, as content stands for Tobacco Use Prevention Education. So we actually recently received our grant award notification for the next 3 years, so we're excited about that. So we wanted to share a little bit more information about the TUPE grant and what the supports it offers for students. So it is a state grant funded through Prop 56 and 99. One of the main functions is to educate, mitigate, and prevent youth tobacco use and potential pathways to other harmful substances. So we know tobacco use and vaping is a gateway a lot of times to other harmful substances. So really what we focus on is prevention, intervention, and cessation services to students, and educating them in hopes that they'll make good choices in regards to tobacco and vaping. Okay, next slide, please. So the reason this is so important, as you all probably know, vaping is on the rise among teens. A lot of studies, this actual study right here is from the National Institute of Health. As you can see, in the last year, 12th graders, 37.3% of them have tried vaping within the past year. Now, this is a national study, and there were people that that participated. So that's not just a local. That's like looking at a national. But we also know locally in Twin Rivers, there's also been an increase. So really, the services that we want to provide to students really focuses on education, letting them understand the harms associated with tobacco use and vaping. We actually we have students participate in the survey that Scott will go into more detail about. But within that survey, we found that students do not see a perceived harm, or have a low perception of seeing a perceived harm in vaping. What that really means is they don't really understand the negative health effects and the dangers associated with it. So really our job is to come in here through education, through youth leadership, and through peer outreach to let them know about the dangers associated with it, and so they'll hopefully make better choices. Next slide, thank you. So one of the things that's really relevant as well is looking at smoking and vaping and how it relates to COVID-19. Now, since COVID, is pretty recent, studies are still ongoing with this, but there are some things that we do know. We do know that people that smoke or vape and are exposed to COVID-19, there's a chance that they'll have a more severe infection. Obviously, their lungs are more compromised, therefore, there is a more increase for infection with COVID. Actually, a more recent study from Stanford Medicine in August looked at students or at young adults ages 13 to 24, and they've concluded that they're 5 to 7 times more likely to contract COVID if they smoke or vape. So, one of many reasons that this is so relevant and the work that we do between, the increase of vaping that's happening with the pandemic that we're facing, to have these resources available for our students. Next slide, please. So we have many district resources. We're going to go over a few of them. So the first one is Teen Intervene, which is the intervention program counseling for students experience substance abuse and addiction. So typically, this is done on a school setting. Students are referred to our department if they've had infractions for using tobacco or vaping on campus, or just if we hear there's concerns about them using. Since we are in different times now, we're going to provide our contact information. So if any of the parents here have concerns, they're welcome to contact us. We still can set up Zoom meetings with students. We've done that towards the end of last year, really talk to them about, choices they're making, the dangers associated with vaping, and really hope find resources for them to help them quit. So as far as the prevention education piece, so once again, this is typically curriculum that's taught by teachers in a classroom setting. Because we are doing distance learning, we are looking at ways of adapting the curriculum to adapt to the virtual setting. So we're actually working with curriculum instruction to adapt our 2 curriculum, which are Project Alert and Stanford Tobacco Prevention Toolkit. A lot of them have already done the work as far as looking at online resources and how they can be utilized, but we're just looking and seeing how we can integrate that. We know our teachers already have a lot on their plate, and we want to make sure that we can be very thoughtful and mindful of how we're approaching this to support not only teachers that are teaching the curriculum, but the students that are receiving the lessons. And with that, I'll pass it over to Scott.
Thank you, Jeremy, and good job. Another sort of prevention that we do is we have Red Ribbon Week in the district, which is a national celebration of being drug-free. So we involve the students, we involve the staff, and we participate during the week of October 23rd to the 31st. So you'll probably see your students dressing up in spirit days or doing drug-free pledges. I pledge to be drug-free. They might participate in activities with you as parents as well in the next month. So we're really just trying to inform and educate our youth, and we do that in a number of ways through youth development. We develop leaders in the community at our school sites that will be the voice, because we find that youth learn the best from other youth. So with these leaders, they go out into the community and they provide information. Obviously now we're in during the pandemic, we're going to be doing it virtual. And we have a couple programs that are called Club Live at the middle school and Finding Out Live at the high school. And these students are leaders that work with adults in the community, teachers, counselors, administrators, to discuss, issues that may be on campus, whether it's alcohol, tobacco, drugs, just safety concerns that they have on campus. And what they do is they work on it with the adults on campus, and they go out in the community for more resources and also provide education to their friends, to their peers. So they will be doing a lot of work during that time in a virtual setting, and they might, like I said, they might involve you parents during that time, whether it be during asynchronous learning, synchronous learning, or outside of that. We also have a California Healthy Kids survey, which is a survey that typically comes out in October, between October and December. And we will be surveying 6th through 12th grade youth. And it really focuses on a risky youth survey. You know, what students are engaging themselves in, how the school climate is on campus. They feel comfortable in addressing things, needs with adults on campus. How do they feel about friends, so on and so forth. So really, it's a survey that we assess in how to provide better support to our youth in the district. We also have another curriculum, which is called Tobacco-Free Generations. And that is for our pregnant and parenting teens, which is held or hosted at Pacific Career and Technology High School. These resources are offered to any student that is a current pregnant or parenting teen that are at their regular home schools that do not take advantage of the system set in place at Pacific Career and Technology High School. They have a number of resources, free daycare for those youth who are pregnant and parenting, so they can drop their kids off at that school while attending school to complete. We have another activity which will also come out during Red Ribbon Week. It's called Don't Buy the Lie, and that's Kaiser's. Kaiser typically they do an assembly, but this year they're not able to based on everything going on. But they will be doing a poster contest that kids can win money. They can win prizes. These posters can, and it's obviously anti-tobacco messaging, vaping messaging, but some of these signs for the winners will go on billboards around Sacramento County, and kids can also win money, which a few of our students have in the past. Next slide, please. This video that Ed Roberto is going to play captures actually a lot of different programs in Sacramento County, not just our district, but a lot of our district is represented in this video. But it shows the leadership programs that we have with Club Live and Friday Night Live, and kind of what they get from the program and what they do in the program. Ed Roberto.
Friday Night Live is a club where we meet to spread awareness and information about the harmful effects of drugs and alcohol.
I thought they were just going to be in one group just talking about drug prevention, but we actually went out and did things in the school.
It's a club where you learn how to be a leader.
I think socially I've learned quite a few things in just a short amount of time I've been here.
The leadership program they're offering here, it was a step I needed to take.
FNL has taught me to be a leader and not a boss, to help others and not just take all the glory.
To me, being a leader means that you will put yourself out there regardless of what happens to you. You know, you have a message you want to say it out loud, even if your voice shakes.
It's so much fun. We do so many different activities and we work together, and it's like the highlight of my week every week.
We do a lot of activities and a lot of icebreakers, and like we got like a lot of our people at our school were very into them, and like people will be lined up like down like the stairs.
Speed on the road with your eyes on the prize, inch by inch, one step at a time. You're losing hope when you can't find a way.
My favorite activity when we went to back to school night, and we told the parents, we had them sign pledges saying that they won't give drugs or alcohol to kids who come to their house. More than half of the parents who came signed it.
I'm actually talking to other kids that can relate, and I could try to help them if they need it, and then they feel more comfortable with another student than their parents.
Okay guys, so you can come and sign a pledge card to be drug-free.
When you help somebody, it doesn't only help them like have a smile on their face, it puts a smile on your own face, it warms your own heart. Like you're giving, but you're also receiving back.
It makes my heart feel good. It makes me happy.
My favorite part of FNL is being a part of something bigger than yourself. It makes me feel like I'm doing something and that my life has a purpose.
Yeah, Friday Night Live!
And so, and just to touch back on that video, Friday Night Live and Club Live, they are SCOE sponsored programs, Sacramento County Office of Education. So they also provide support and representation from their line of work in coming to our school and providing resources to help out with the outreach. some of these youth also provide peer mentoring too. So they mentor kids one-on-one if they are in need of just support as a friend, or if it has to do with alcohol, tobacco, and drugs, they can also discuss that with each other and how to reach services, which the next slide will kind of talk about. So we have a cessation opportunity service, which is called the California Smokers Helpline. And if your child is, or if you hear about friends, they can be anonymously recommended to this helpline. It's a free program. It's available in 6 languages. They can call in via phone. They can use a text app. There's a mobile app which is downloadable on iPhone and Android. They can also call in on 1-800-NO-BUTTS, 1-844-8-NO-VAPE, and then on www.nobutts.org. That's where a lot of resources are to help students quit if they are using. So these would be students that are more, they're not just the one type user and that's it. This is more of the in-depth, more addicted student. And this is really targeted for ages 13 through 18. But we will, like Jeremy said, we will provide services and intervention as well. Myself and Jeremy, as well as many of our counselors in the district, are trained to provide intervention one-on-one. So if you're a student, or if you know that your child, your student needs help with this, you can feel free to reach out to myself or Jeremy Combs, which the contact information will be in the slides later. Feel free to reach out to us and we will provide support readily. Next slide, please. This is our contact information. Feel free to reach out via our email, via our phone, and we can do, right now, since we're doing, it's a virtual setting, we can do one-on-one groups as far as intervention with youth. We can do group therapy as well. So we are there if you need. Adalberto?
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Kaiser. I appreciate all this information. And with that, I do want to say for our families and our guardians and our community partners who are here today, this is the part where we're going to be answering some of the questions that were asked via the registration link. If you have any questions, please you can send those as well, be within the Q&A or within the chat. Or also, if you want to raise your hand, we'll also be allow you to speak on your microphone, and we'll be able to also answer some of the questions you might have as well. Just to let you know, one of the questions that came up is, it says as far as community-based organizations and how they're working to partner with many of the services that are being provided with student services to support their students and families. One of the people asked, like, what are some of those ways where they're supporting or working with community partners? And I know that Mr. Kaiser and Mr. Combs, as far as with TUPE, that's one of the programs that you're working with. Can you talk a little bit about what are some of the things that you're working with community partners as far as reaching out to families?
Yeah, absolutely. New this year, we're working with Health Education Council to do a series of workshop series centered around vaping, because that is kind of something that is on the rise. Also, just FYI, there is a new Senate bill which is going to be coming out to ban flavored tobacco sales in California, or actually I think Sacramento County. So it's slated to be for January 1st, and it did pass, unless there's some referendum or amendment to it that doesn't go through for some reason. But as of right now, it's passed. So that's a big win for us, for our youth, because tobacco, big tobacco targets youth, especially with flavoring. So that'll be one less thing to worry about in the future. But we work with collaborative partners to go over these types of things and to spread resources in our community. Health Education Council is one of them. We're working with them right now to try and figure out how we're going to roll this out via an online platform, virtual learning wise, with families. But more information will come out. We'll link up with Adalberto on that. We're still working on that. We have Liberty Towers, which is a church affiliated group that is kind of centered around the foothill area. And they are working with our Foothill High School and Foothill Middle School areas to provide resources because it's a very high need of support. We have La Familia, who is also supporting that area because for our disparate populations, it's a high need area as well. So they will be working with the Latino populations to provide resources as well. Thank you, Edwardo.
Thank you, Mr. Kaiser. There was also a question I was asked as far as what are some of the programs when it comes to supporting families when distance learning, or in some ways, like how can families support their students to engage when it comes to logging in, when it comes to zooming in, when it comes to supporting or motivating your students or your children to participate in distance learning. And I think in this question, what would you recommend, Tiffany and Anna and Takendra, since all of you have been or were counselors, what would be some of the things that you would suggest as far as recommendations to support many of those families and things they could do at home, and who could they reach out at their school site, and what are some of the things that are available to support them?
Can you repeat that last part, Edwardo? It's cutting off on my end.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm saying, so for families who have students who are struggling with distance learning for their students, or in this case, what would you recommend as current counselors of programs, or what they could do in their home to, instead of, to engage with their youth, or to promote, to engage them, I guess you could say, when it comes to with their education? What are some of your suggestions?
I guess I can start. Is that okay, Kendra?
Go ahead.
So I also have a daughter, and so we're doing the whole distance learning thing ourselves. And so just using some of the tools as a parent myself, what I found really helpful is to create a schedule of the day. It doesn't have to be very cumbersome or very detailed, but just having like a visual in front of my daughter, like from 8 to 9, it's Zoom time, and from 9 to whatever. So just creating a schedule really helped keep my own child focused. And also creating like a personal private workspace, right? So our kiddos were at school and they had their own personal space with their own desk. I would encourage you to set aside a space in your house, even if it's on the carpet with a clipboard or what have you. Flexible seating's awesome for little kiddos, but create a space of their own. That's their learning environment, along with having their supplies ready for them, maybe getting up like pencil boxes and having everything kind of organized. That way they're not scrambling for their items and then getting frustrated because they can't find things, and maybe organizing things.
I would also agree with Tiffany. I do have a child as well, second grader, who's with Twin Rivers. And so I do think that creating a schedule, having a routine is very important, especially for the younger children that are in elementary school, because they depend a lot on consistency, and that's what they're used to within the classrooms. So if you can practice with your child logging in, that helps them to be more independent on their own. Going back to what Tiffany said, making sure that there is a visual schedule for the student, that really helps keeps them focused. And if you are having students, or if your child is having a hard time, they're just overwhelmed with distance learning, having to, be on the computer all the time or daily, our counselors are available as well per school site. So reach out to your teachers. Get connected with the counselors, because they are still providing social and emotional learning and support for our students.
Hey, Roberto, I'd like to add, as was already stated, setting up a schedule for your child is key. And that includes making sure that your child goes to bed at a reasonable hour. I know that when kids are not in our in-person learning, sometimes we as parents forget about that bedtime and let them stay up much later than they should. And as we know, that it is difficult to maintain focus, and viewing the screens can be hard on the eyes, and that is enhanced when you are sleepy. So we don't want our children to be sleepy when they're trying to do the distance learning, because it will be a hindrance to their learning. And also along with that is that because our kids are spending a significant amount of time, screen time during the day now, we really need to monitor their screen time outside of school hours. We don't want them to spend their whole day on the screen staring at it and then spend their whole evening again staring at the screen, because it's really difficult for them to maintain concentration when they're watching the screen for that long.
And to piggyback on Darren, also like try to have a reasonable time you power down the electronics before bed. Because I even know with my own 6-year-old, if she's on her iPad up until bedtime, her mind can't wind down, and that will affect her sleep. So really create a buffer between electronics turn off and then it's time to go to bed.
Thank you, Ms. To you all. There's also one question that came up as far as supporting, how do families support students with their mental wellness, mental health, as far as with their social emotional development, based on what this is learning or some challenges that are going on, or also maybe in some cases because there's been some issues with bullying in the past, or how do you work in this case with your child, with your student, to support them in order to develop and to grow? What would be some of your suggestions, either within CWA, within TUPE, within foster youth services, that you would suggest for our families?
I'll go ahead, Roberto. I think number one, to try and remain as healthy during this time as you can. Kind of what Darren and Kendra and Tiffany said as far as sleep schedule, I think is number one, but also making sure that you have a healthy diet, making sure that you get exercise, because I know it was smoky outside for all the fires, so kids couldn't go outside as much. Plus there was the pandemic, which only escalates and exacerbates social emotional learning or mental health. So we have to make sure that we have a schedule as far as also including that schedule, doing something physical in a positive manner, walking, running, bike riding, playing sports, soccer, whatever the case is, if you can, with the reasonable situation with COVID and all that. I would also say that kind of what Kendra said is always, we have counselors that are readily available, that they have support groups. They can do virtual learning groups, cohorts as far as anger management, mental health, talking about skills as far as meditation, things that can help kids out during this time, because it's a very stressful time for everybody, for parents and for youth. So I think just utilizing the resources and staying connected with the district to know what you can utilize during that time.
Yeah, I apologize for the great response, Scott. Mr. Greer, we have a question in the chat. I think folks want to ask you if you could introduce yourself and your role again.
This would be for Mr. Greer and Mr.
Can you hear me now? Yes, I just responded to that question in the chat, but my name is Darren Greer. I'm one of two new coordinators of child welfare and attendance with the district. If there's any questions you had for me specifically, certainly I could answer them now, or you can get in touch with me through child welfare and attendance.
Kendra, sorry, missed that part.
Nope, that's okay. My name is also Tikendra White. I am the other child welfare and attendance coordinator within the district as well. So Darren and I share the same role. And same, if you have any questions, you can definitely contact me through Student Services, or save them towards the end, I guess.
Awesome, thank you for doing that. Edilberto, I just want to touch bases too about some of these connections that we're now really trying to make with our with some of our community-based agencies, especially through Care Solace. Care Solace, I talked a little bit about it at the beginning of this meeting, and it really is a counseling concierge type service. And the goal of Care Solace is to really help families connect with mental health services that include everything from counseling for students to really intense family counseling. But not only are they connecting you with a counseling service type agency, but it's an agency within your own community that we're really trying to do that, so that this can be something that is not just a warm handoff to some counselor and a particular health provider, but it's within your own community. And so we're hoping with this type of service that our school officials at our site will really be able to help connect families with those services. So I really want to encourage families, if you're running into these issues, especially around mental health, social development concerns with your students, really reach out to your teachers as well as your admin and counseling staff at your school sites. They have ways for you to connect with them and then to get in contact with Care Solace so that they can connect you with these outside agencies. Again, that kind of concludes my piece there. I'll hand it back over to you, Edberto.
Thank you, Mr. Puente. There is a question that came up as far as one of our attendees. In this case, any of our different programs within Student Services can provide an answer. It says, are the teachers carving out any time for socialization within the synchronized instruction, which in this case would be within live instruction for our families who might not know what synchronized instruction would be? Or can Student Services team take a lead in creating a framework for that so they could promote social peer engagement on a consistent basis? Would somebody be able to provide a response to that, or maybe how we could, I guess, like who we reach out to or regarding that question?
Yeah, so what I will say is that I know that curriculum and instruction, there is a social emotional curriculum that has been given out to teachers. So that's one avenue that they are using to help engage students in their social emotional development. But I also know that teachers are being creative with the current platforms that they're using to teach students in the synchronous time, which is the actual live instruction that you typically see in the morning. That could be everything from allowing students who to have their own breakout rooms to talk about a particular assignment that they're working on. I've seen situations where teachers have allowed those breakout rooms where kids can talk about certain topics that they're interested in. For example, I've seen where they've created these recess time breakout rooms and listed a couple of different topics for these different rooms. For instance, one might be about Legos, another one could be about another subject matter. I think I've seen one where they've talked about different types of media platforms that kids could talk about their interest in it. Not really accessing the platform, but talking about why they might be interested in those certain types of platforms. So there are these creative ways that these opportunities to grow socially and emotionally that are being created for students by our teachers. And there's definitely input that's coming in from folks within the different strands of student services to help with that. But ultimately, I do believe that it's our curriculum and instruction folks that are leading a lot of that. And I think Laura Lofgren is our lead contact. And so I definitely will reach out to her so we can push out more information to this group so that they can get their answers.
Thank you, Mr. Puente. I know that one of the other questions that came up in this case is as far as mental health wellness. Are there any information as far as the school mental health wellness centers are being initiated with SCOE? They mentioned that there's a couple of Twin River schools that are opening up possibly these centers. Would somebody have information on that? This is new to me, and as always, I'm always a eager learner to find out more information. But would somebody have heard about that?
Yeah, it looks like that might be a question that we probably have to do a little bit more research on and get back to the rest of the group on. Great question, though.
And with that also too, I see that in this case, there's a need for collaboration with organizations, and this is something that in this case, we are working with, whether it's with the county or with our community partners, as Mr. Kaiser talked about, with working with Familia Counseling and with Liberty Towers and Health Education Council, and those are things that also we are also looking to improve and increase as well. Are there any other questions that we would like to ask?
Add something?
Oh, go ahead, Jeremy.
So the question earlier regarding socialization and just opportunities for that, I do know that we have expanded learning programs that typically operate after school. I did reach out to the coordinator there, and depending on the school site, most of those programs are K-8 programs, and the majority of our elementary and middle school programs do have them happening on site, and those are also community-based organization led. And depending on the site, there could be space available. So if you go to expanded learning programs on our website and you fill out an interest form, depending on the site, if there's space available, they can get back to you. And it's a free program. And I know they do like virtual like STEM lessons, like they teach you like different cooking opportunities. They have like gaming things where kids can get together and socialize in that regard. So it's definitely like a more of a social platform for students to network. I think it'd be a great opportunity for students. And like I said, space is limited. It is a free program. But I definitely would look at that as a potential resource for helping that socialization of students.
And Jeremy, I do want to add on to that as well, because my student actually participates in the expanded learning. They definitely do a lot of socializing activities. For those who have students who may participated in masters or other after-school programs that the school has, this is basically the platform. It's just virtually at the moment, but when we do decide to go back to return to school, we would go back to that actual setting. So it is the after-school program that students are participating in.
And thank you very much. And then I see that there, as Mr. Kendra White brought up, here's a list of contacts that are being offered. For example, with expanded learning, just to show there's an example, you will click on the link in this case. And what Jeremy had mentioned, you would click on the expanded learning programs, and there's an interest form that you would fill out. In this case, this was sent out at the beginning of the school year as far as registering to show interest in the program, and then you'll fill out the information that is based on that school site. So you'll fill out the say if it's for Norwood, and then you will click on the information as well and provide your information. And then that, as they mentioned, it would be placed on a certain wait list in case there's any space available. And obviously you would contact your school sites to provide that information. With that, I'm gonna see if there are any more questions for us.
I happened to notice there was one question in the chat regarding financial assistance for any family experiencing hardships. And I wanted to make sure to open that up to the group to see if they had any resources that might be available for families. I know just off the top of my head, one of the really important resources that we have within district is obviously our nutrition services program. We have a free reduced lunch program that really strives to make sure that our students are getting meals every day. In addition to that, I know that we have many local food banks that have distributions. And so this team here can really work to find out more information about when those are occurring and in what parts of our district that'll be available. So we can get that together and push that information out. Are there other types of resources that this team may be aware of regarding any type of other financial type of resources that might be available for families?
Just going back to the McKinney Rental Services, so for students who are, or families who are experiencing financial hardships in their housing situation, once again, they're either living, within multiple families or motels, doubled up, situations like that. If you fill out a housing questionnaire form, we're able to go ahead and look at it and see if the student or the family may qualify for services. And so some of the other things that we can offer from the district, or at least coming from child welfare and attendance, are things like hygiene kits, school supplies, sleeping bags, clothing for students, there are multiple different types of resources that we're able to provide to students who qualify under that particular act.
Thank you.
With that, I see, are there any other last questions? We appreciate all the information that was shared with you all today. We will promise to send the presentation and the links that was shared during our chat and with the information that was sent from our many program speakers from Student Services. We appreciate your attendance, your participation, your questions, and all the work that was done as far as to provide this information for you all. With that, we want to thank each of you for attending this meeting. We wish you the best and to stay safe. So with that, thank you very much and have a great day.
Thank you, Edilberto. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Appreciate it.